Six, five, four, three, two, one. Our Las Vegas Holy Community makes some noise. How's everyone doing today? I can't hear you. Are you guys doing okay? Alright, let's keep energy. And our first song for today is Blessing of God. How is that who is falling to me? How shall I attend it? Who is falling? me from the dark
and fly away, and rejoice to live in grace. When the one you came to save holds me tenderly in his embrace, I rejoice to feel the comfort of the love he has for me. What a blessing of glory, to rejoice eternally.
What a blessing!
What a blessing of glory, to rejoice eternally.
Now he lives.
Now he lifts me up to embrace me in the blessing that is mine. What a blessing to receive him in a love so tender and divine. How can I return the blessing? Going all my life I will try. I can never stop feeling how unworthy am I can never stop feeling how unworthy am I can never stop feeling how unworthy am I.
All right, thank you. All right, next song is If Life Were Gracious Enough.
If I were gracious enough to bend my way, I would reach to the ends of the earth to give love in every day. And each would find his home with peace and friendship there, where joyous songs aloud and happiness to share.
If life were gracious.
If life were gracious enough to grant my dream, I would see your face in the stars and hear your song in every street. The comfort of your smile in the warm caress of spring, in the dance of life all the while. I feel your love in everything. We will make life gracious enough to fulfill our dream. We will lift up the weight of the world, and your love will blossom to free. We will free each heart from the pain and anguish of the past through the preciousness of our love. True joy will reign at last. If life were gracious enough to grant my wish, I would reach to the ends of the earth with loving every day, and each would find his home with peace and friendship there, where joyous songs abound and happiness to share. Where joyous songs abound and happiness to share.
Thank you. All right. And then here's our third song, Call to Sacrifice.
Come unite the world, you soldiers of truth, chosen by the Lord to carry his word, till the world proclaims him ruler of all. Every soldier must go forward to fight, for offer God their life and desire, uniting both the body and soul. We shall be the soldiers who can defend everything for God by doing his will. Join the fight for the Lord, sacrificing all that you have. Join the fight, win the world, we will see victory. Come unite the world, you soldiers of light, called to be the chosen people of God, till the world returns all glory above. Every soldier must go forward to march, or offer God the wealth you possess, uniting from beginning to end. We shall be the soldiers who can fulfill heavenly desire by doing his will. Join the fight for the Lord, sacrificing all that you have. Join the fight, win the world, we will see victory. Come unite the world, you soldiers of light, trusted by the Lord and worthy in heart, till the world is bright with heavenly joy. Every soldier must go forward to win, for offer God the love in your heart, uniting all the left and the right. We shall be the soldiers who can fulfill God's eternal joy by doing his will. Join the fight for the Lord, sacrificing all that you have. Join the fight, win the world, we will see victory. Come unite the world, you soldiers of light, ever to obey our Father's command, till the world returns his heavenly love. Every soldier must go forward in faith, offer God the people he loves, uniting all the young and the old. We shall be the soldiers who can fulfill one united world by doing his will. Join the fight for the Lord, sacrificing all that you have. Join the fight, win the world, we will see victory. Join the fight for the Lord, sacrificing all that you have. Join the fight, win the world, we will see victory. We will see victory. We will see victory.
Thank you. All right. All right, you may have your seats. This time we would like to offer a song to you. We hope that you enjoy it and that you feel God's love, God's beauty, through the song and through the music. So here is Something Beautiful.
Your ocean I'm ankle deep. I feel the waves crashing on my feet. It's like I know where I need to be, but I can't figure out, I can't figure out just how much air I will need to breathe when your tide rushes over me. There's only one way to figure out. Will you let me drown? Will you let me drown? Hey now, this is my desire. Consume me like a fire, 'cause I just want something beautiful to touch me. I know that I'm in reach, 'cause I am down on my knees. I'm waiting for something beautiful. Oh, 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 something beautiful. And the water is rising quick, and for years I was scared of it. You can't be sure when it will subside, so I won't leave your side. No, I can't leave your side. Hey now, this is my desire. Consume me like a fire, 'cause I just want something beautiful to touch me. I know that I'm in reach, 'cause I am down on my knees. I'm waiting for something beautiful. Oh, 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 something beautiful. Oh, 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 something beautiful. In a daydream, couldn't live like this. Wouldn't stop until I found something beautiful. When I wake up, all I want I have. You know, love is all I need. Something beautiful. In a daydream, I couldn't live like this. Wouldn't stop until I found something beautiful. When I wake up, all I want I have. You know, love is all I need. Something beautiful. Hey now, this is my desire. Consume me like a fire, 'cause I just want something beautiful to touch me. I know that I'm in reach, 'cause I am down on my knees. I'm waiting for something beautiful. Hey now, this is my desire. Consume me like a fire, 'cause I just want something beautiful to touch me. I know that I'm in reach, 'cause I am down on my knees. I'm waiting for something beautiful. Hey now, this is my desire. Consume me like a fire, 'cause I just want something beautiful to touch me. I know that I'm in reach, 'cause I am down on my knees. I'm waiting for something beautiful. Oh, 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 something beautiful. Oh, 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 something beautiful. Oh, 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 something beautiful.
Wow, that was so beautiful. Thank you so much. Let us pray. Good morning, Heavenly Parent. Our hearts are really warmed up by this beautiful song. You have already touched our souls, reminding us that yes, we are deep down. Sometimes it's difficult to believe that there's something beautiful waiting for us. It's not always easy to trust or have faith or really believe in love, believe in compassion, believe in goodness or truth. But we are reminded once again that you have planted in each one of us the seed for love, seed to really desire something beautiful in our lives. And also, the seed that you have planted in our hearts, it's not just seeking for something beautiful, but desire to give something beautiful back to you and back to each other. So wherever we are at in our journey of love and trust and faith, please speak to each one of us through our sermon today and through each other. We are here to worship and fellowship, and we are here as a family this morning. So wherever we are at, some of us may be feeling really difficult to open our hearts. Please embrace us. And maybe some of us are really ready to give, like you, ready to learn to give, like Jesus has shown us, like our Father and Mother Moon have shown us, with the example of a truly loving heart. So wherever we are at, I know that you trust us, you have faith in us, and you really believe that we are beautiful in your eyes. So we want to really thank you and put our hearts together this morning. So thank you so much. And I want to offer this prayer to you in your son's name and in the names Akira and Michael and Presenter family.
Thank you, Makiko-san, for that beautiful prayer, that intimate prayer. And thank you to the Haven Street Band for these incredible 4 songs, these concerts that they bring up. Oh, a video. Awesome. So we'll play a video to intro us in.
We all have an original mind that yearns for beauty, truth, and happiness. We want to be good people, able to raise beautiful families where all relationships of true love can blossom. Strong families are the building block of a healthy community, where each person can work together to create a peaceful and prosperous world. We are the Family Federation. Join us for world peace and unification.
And that's my greeting, made my job easier. Thank you guys for attending this week, and I'm grateful to be here standing in front of you as the MC for this week. Hannah is in Korea because she is welcoming the UPA missionaries at their kickoff workshop. So I'll be filling in for that portion of Sunday service, and I'm grateful to be here. And as you know, we had a whole celebration for our founders, Reverend and Mrs. Moon, for their birthday celebration, and we were able to celebrate that. So as we go into this Sunday service, I think one thing that we can do is greet them and just congratulate them for their birthday and have that heart for them. So we can all rise and we can face our founders, Reverend and Mrs. Moon, into a half bow in just loving affection towards everything that they've offered to us, like this building and this Sunday service today. So with that, I'll say Chariok Kyombe to bow and Paro to rise. Chariok Kyombe. Paro. Thank you. Next, we will go into our family pledge for this week. We'll be going to family pledge number 8, and this family pledge is how we strive to build our families in relationship with God. Family pledge number 8, you can follow me. Our family, the owner of Chunoguk, pledges, having entered the era of Chunoguk, to achieve the ideal of God and human beings united in love through absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience, and perfect the realm of liberation and complete freedom in the kingdom of God on earth and in heaven, centering on true love. Aju. And in summary, centering on true love, let us practice the 3 great virtues: absolute faith, love, and obedience to bring oneness between God and humankind. You may now all be seated. And we're going to start some music because as you sit down, you're going to rise back up to do some good old meet and greets for 3 minutes. Let's all greet each other and have a great time. Music. Feel free to greet each other and make your way to the front seats while you're talking. Enjoy the festive atmosphere for today. All right, we can start heading back to our seats now. We can start heading back to our seats so we can continue on with the program. You'll have 1 more minute. We'll just wrap up after 1 more minute. About 30 more seconds. All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Wow, it's a really sight for sore eyes. Always miss just seeing everyone talk and have the young people and the old people just all gather together and talk and stuff. And I got to make a new friend this morning. I got to meet Miss Victoria and her stuffed animal dinosaur, and it bit my nose. So that was an incredible experience. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Pet Dinosaur. And next on our program, I'll be welcoming up a really cherished brother of mine, someone that I really look towards for guidance, but also he gives a lot of advice out of nowhere because he really feels that he wants to be an influential person. And you guys all know him. He does a lot for our community. And ever since he came back with his wife, Hannah Arthur, he's been going nonstop and to create the best possible environment for everyone. And I feel that a lot of his effort in understanding true love is really helping with this community kind of start that discussion. Like, how much do I understand true love? I think we can have that question in our mind as we go into this week's sermon titled Understanding True Love. and help me welcome up the incredible, the great assistant to Dr. Kim and youth pastor Resfred Arthur. Let's welcome him up. I'm a little nervous today. That's why I had to drink some water. Also, I didn't eat breakfast, but how's everyone doing? Great. I heard it great. Some of you good. Who's not feeling too well right now? I know you're hiding it. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay to not feel the best, right? We have our on days, we have our off days. That's just life, right? And that's what makes life happy. We're able to notice the happy moments because we have some sad moments too. See, Brandon. Okay, so I just wanted to go over a glossary. So during my sermon, I may say some words that you might not understand. And so in case I do and I forget to explain, here it is. So true parents are movements, founders. Chonoguk, the kingdom of heaven on earth. Chunshimon, that's our prayer room. Divine principle, it's a book of our core teachings. If I say Hannah, that's my wife, my amazing wife. So just in case I forget to explain it, here's a glossary. Feel free to take a picture and reference it as the sermon goes on. Okay, so what happened on Wednesday this week? Actually, before I talk about that, Dr. Kim is currently in Korea. He's in Korea right now with our true mother, celebrating the pledge service. As you remember, the pledge service, the blessing that happened, and also as part of the, I believe, the beginning part of welcoming the missionaries there, the global Top Gun missionary. Let's give it out to Dr. Kim. He's been there for some time for the sake of our American providence. So what happened on Wednesday this past week? Valentine's. There are just one person, two people remembered, and they happened to be two women. Well, that's part of life. So let me just tell you. I'll just start by sharing just a little story. It's a Valentine's Day miracle. So, how many of you love Valentine's? No, I saw some guys raise their hand. I wonder. Some of them looked at their wife first. And the truth is, I almost forgot Valentine's. I almost forgot. But I care about Valentine's because my wife cares about Valentine's, right? Because she cares about it, I care about it. So I remember on Wednesday, part of the reason is because, I think to myself, why isn't every day special? Why is that one day? That one day we got to do something special. Then what about that ramen we ate yesterday? Did that count as love? So basically, it's on Valentine's Day, and I go there, had to do some updates on my car, so I just take it there, and I'm sitting down. Before I go back home, I decide, you know what? I should probably get something for my wife. So, being the very classy gentleman that I am, I decide to get flowers from Walmart. Now, so I walk into Walmart, and I ask the guy, well, where's the flowers? He said, oh, there's a lot of it, all right next to the self checkout. So I go to the self checkout, and now I have a dilemma. There are two kinds of flowers. You got the bouquet that's wrapped, right? The one that you typically red, wrapped with some kind of wrapper, right? It's typical, it's cheaper. But then you also have the one that's a little bit more expensive. It has a vase. It has a vase with it. It's pretty big, and it's all roses. One of them costs $10. The other costs $25. So I'm just thinking to myself, the first thing I go straight to the $10 one. And I looked through it, because quite frankly, I thought that they look kind of nicer. They weren't all roses. I think carnations look beautiful. And so I started looking through it. But then I just started to judge myself. It's like, if I get that, What does that mean about how much I care about Hannah? So, I paced back and forth maybe for about 15 minutes, just just thinking about, oh, what should I get? Which one should I get? And I decided, you know what? Let me just look through the roses. Let me look through the roses. So I looked through it, and then I decide, you know what? I'll get this one. There's a very specific one that I got. It was pinkish beige. Hannah really likes that color, and it was I think, the nicest one over there. So I just randomly just picked that one up, and I go to the cash register. I go to the cash register, and I buy with it. I buy a chocolate and a card. Right? That's what we're supposed to do. Okay. So I buy a chocolate and a card with the flowers. I go to the register, and then the registrar starts scanning. She scans the chocolate, scans the card, and when she scans the flower, it says $1. $1. And then she was confused for a second. And I was confused just a little bit, but excited too. I thought it might have been a Valentine's Day miracle. So then she kept scanning, and I was like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? And then she calls the manager, comes in, and the manager said, oh, maybe they dropped the price because they want to get rid of it on Valentine's Day. This is middle of the day. So, long story short, I get it for $1. Thank you. Now, the part that I didn't tell you is that after I picked out my flower, I noticed there was an extra sticker on top of the price sticker, on top of the price label. And, I didn't pay too much attention, but I really did know that what really was being scanned was a lint roller, the barcode of a lint roller. So either way, what happened is I got myself flowers, because I chose to get the $25 flowers. I think God really blessed me. And so that's what it looks like. That was the double sticker. And then that's it. The dollar, you see the dollar right there? 60 count lint roller. You see the extra times they tried to scan it, and it was still $1. So that was a Valentine's Day miracle. Hannah still doesn't know, but she was happy. So today my sermon is going to be on understanding love. Who here feels like they understand love? Yeah, okay, you understand. Let's give them a hand. They understand love. Maybe next week you can come up and share a little bit more. Right, but something that I think for most of us here, it's a little bit complicated. Something that maybe throughout our lifetime, I don't think I'll ever fully understand. So the preface of this, for what I'm going to be sharing today, is not conclusive, right? That means that there's not going to be an ending where it's going to be like, oh, you finally understand love after coming out of this. This is a dialogue. This is a conversation that I've been having with myself for a long time. What is love? So about 2 weeks ago, not 2 weeks ago, about a month ago, Hannah and I were going down our road and we found out, hey, we just moved to Las Vegas. Why don't we find a library, right? So instead of buying books, we could invest in the library card, free. We get books. And so what happened is we go to the library and, it's our very first book. Our very first book. So, we want to pick out the one that we think we'll really read, one that we'll be excited for. And the book that Hannah picks is that, Wabi Sabi Love. You can't read it, but it says, The Ancient Art of Finding Love in Imperfect Relationships. So, of course, I'm not the expert here at love. And then the book I get, Steve Jobs. It goes to show you how much I love her. Don't worry. I do. I really do. But it's just in a different way, right? It's a different way. I don't read book. I do read. Okay. Let me not talk about that. But case in point is that I did take a glimpse at a few pages of it yesterday. And then it's very, very practical, very, very practical advice for love, right? One example of the page that I randomly flipped to was, it says, give each other nicknames, specifically around the point of contention in your relationship. It said, for example, if your wife or your husband likes to hog the blanket, for example, just call them blanket monster. Instead of, and then so when they hog the blanket one night and you have no blanket, then you just say, oh, here comes a blanket monster again, instead of saying, you always take the blanket. Does that make sense? Like, it was very simple things like that, all throughout, replete, all throughout the book. But really, my conversation of understanding love, it's a little bit deeper, because I think that all of us have a basic sense of what love feels like. To many, it feels good. Would you agree? Like, feels good to many. But ever since I came to America in 2012, the one thing I've really been working on is my relationship with my dad. So that's my dad, Anthony, and that's my mom, Mariko Arthur. Now, my dad is, I would say typical, but typical African father. American is a little bit different culturally. My dad, growing up, my dad was extremely strict, right? Extremely strict. But not only that, I grew up where my mom was working in America to support our family in Africa. So after I was 3 years old, she would spend only about 2 weeks in Ghana. I grew up in Ghana. Only about 2 weeks, and then she'd go to work for the remainder of the year and come back for another 2 weeks. That's kind of what our relationship was like. And we loved our mother, though. There was no point in time where we held resentment against my mom because she wasn't around. No, we wanted her to be there, but we understood she was supporting our family, right? That's the reason why she was not home. But the more difficult part was that my dad was so strict with us that we'd constantly yearn for our mom, right? Can anyone relate with that? Yeah, some of you. Because whenever our mom was around, you know, my dad was a little softer. He was a little more rounded. Or if my dad yelled at us or something, my mom would, politely just kind of bring us together and get us something to eat, something like that. So that was my mom's love. But what I've been trying to understand, and the reason this has been a conversation in my mind for so long, is because I've been trying to understand my father's love, right? Because growing up, there are many different circumstances, but one experience is growing up. I was good at school, right? So I remember early on in my first grade, before first grade, I never scored anything below 100, and so my school asked me to skip second grade, so I went to third grade. And what happened was, I remember in the first grade, my dad, because I was always ranked first in my class, and so my dad would. I remember one time he'd buy me eggs, right? Eggs. I know it doesn't sound special, but it was very special for me. Just having a dozen of eggs, and he just bought it for me because I did really well in school. And then every term, after report cards come in, he kind of give me eggs, and I was so happy, so excited. But that ended when I went to third grade. And in third grade, we had to take an additional class called African language. And there's a specific language that I chose called Twi. That's my father's native language, but I didn't speak the language. And so it was relatively difficult, right? I didn't speak the language at home, anywhere else. It was just kind of textbook, and all my classmates kind of spoke the language, and that was kind of how it was. And so ever since then, I was never first again in my class. I was constantly third place, right? Usually my African language score would drop me significantly. So I remember then, from that moment, my dad was always like disappointed every time I brought home my report card, right? There were two guys in my class who called Ferdinand and Jojo. They were always first and second, or it constantly flipped between them. And then I would always just third. And so I remember every time my dad would come home and he sees my report card, he asked me, what did Ferdinand and Jojo get? And then, of course, I was younger, feeling a little bit of, I wasn't so happy. But I understand, because I want to be first too, right? So I get it. But I think the climax of it all was also during, before you graduate middle school in Africa, West Africa, you take an exam to go to high school. And that exam is called the BECE, and it's a huge deal. right? You wake up usually 2 a.m. You go to sleep at 8 o'clock. You go to school starts around 5, ends around 8:30 during that time period for a period of about 3 months because that's how serious it is for people to study. And so while we were taking that exam, I did my best. And my school was relatively new. It's a newer school. We were the 6th batch of graduating classes. And no one in my school had ever gotten, you would say, 9 ones. Ones means A's in our studies, 9 ones. And 9 ones means that out of the 9 languages, you get all ones, all A's, right? So no one had ever gotten that. And it was really hard to get that. Um, and even then, no one had ever gotten 8 ones either, right, in the history of our school. And so I remember after this exam, we waited about a month, 2 months, and then the results started to come out. It started to come out, and my friends started to get their score. You had to pay money, right? You had to pay like $50. You go to a machine and check it. The official results will come in like about 2 months later, but people just can't wait. So my friends go and check. Everyone's getting their score, and then I remember a time when Jojo, he goes and check it out. He gets 9 ones. Wow, everyone's excited. I'm excited. It's like first time ever. It's amazing. Ferdinand goes and check. He gets 9 ones. And then I'm the only one who hasn't checked. A lot of my classmates checked. I think the next highest was probably around 6 or 5 1, something like that. But so basically, they did extremely well. So then I told my dad, every time I come back home from school, my dad would ask me, what did people get? What did people get? And then one day he was like, okay, here's money. Go and get your results. And so I go to the printing shop. We call it Internet Cafe. And then I look it up. I get 8 ones. And you can imagine the one I didn't get a 1 in, right? African language. But I print it out, and then the guy who is printing it out, so you just print it from your computer and you go to the desk and you pay for it. He just has no context, just looks at it and is like, whose score is this? It's amazing, right? So I'm feeling happy. Oh wow, I did pretty well. But I take it back home, and then my dad asked me, okay, what was it? I said 8 ones. He just looked very disappointed. So, anyways, so what happened is, ever since I moved to America, I've been living away from my dad, right? We moved to America to study. So my dad lives in Ghana. So there wasn't as much of that interaction. But, there was a time period in my life where I just thought, why am I seeking my father's approval? Right? And as I got older, even more deeply was I tried to identify, try to find my dad's love in that. That's why this whole conversation started about understanding love. What is love? And would I say that my dad didn't know how to love? If you ask me today, absolutely no. He knew. There's just something that I wasn't noticing. So, as many of you know, love comes in many different shapes and sizes. And that's what I'd like to talk about today. So, what is love? Can anyone throw something out there? What is love to you? Yes. Compassion. Let's give him a hand. Yes, compassion. Anyone else? What is love? Just one more person. Go ahead. Unconditional. Let's give her a hand. Yeah. So these are definitions of love that we come to understand. Of course, love is not defined by just one thing, but it helps us understand what love could be like. So if you look at the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it describes love, the noun version, an unselfish, loyal, and benevolent concern for the good of another. Is this a good definition? Yeah, it's pretty good, right? And the verb means to hold dear, to cherish. That means if you love someone, the verb, that means you cherish that person, right? And then To be loved, obviously, is an unselfish, loyal, and benevolent concern for another. Now let's go to ancient Greek. The supposed understanding of love in ancient Greek was love is an admiration for the perfect sides of another human being. The virtues, the qualities, the accomplishments, and the character and achievements of another person. So that's how the ancient Greeks defined it. It was loving the good things, right? The virtues of someone else. So there was no way to taint love, because if someone did something silly, it's not possible to love that thing. So that's the general definition of from the ancient Greeks of what love was. And then this man named Alain de Botton from England. He's written many books on love, and he defines as love is a mutual process. It's a process of mutual education, where two people come together to be better versions of themselves, right? And this is relatively similar to our teachings. I see some of you nodding. It's an opportunity to grow. So the question is, so what is love? We've still not answered it. There's so many definitions out there. I'm sure if we had a pair share right now and each person was defining love, it'd be a little bit different. It'd be a little bit different, but I'm sure there's going to be something underlying, and that's what we'll get to later. So the first thing we need to acknowledge, I think, that's important is that there are different kinds of love, right? Different kinds of love. For example, you could say motherly love, fatherly love. A little bit different, you would say, right? It's a little bit abstract because a father can give, you could say, motherly love. But we describe motherly love as this tender love, this care. And fatherly love may be a little bit more growth-oriented, right? So in the divine principle, glossary, remember? You have 4 realms of heart: the parental, conjugal, sibling, and children. And I think this does a good summary of explaining the different realms in which we can love, but also a good kind of classification. When you start at the bottom with children's, what's a children's love like? It's, I would say, pure. It's pure. Children don't know much better. So they do what they're told, they do what they see. But there is an ideal that we can strive for as children, right? And we learn it's to love our parents. What is siblings' realm of love like? That's a love between brothers and sisters. The love between brothers and sisters. Or sister and sister, brother, brother. Well, that's a love that we develop into, and we still have as we're older, because we always have brothers and sisters. But it's a love where there is now a little bit more responsibility. A little bit more responsibility of your own actions and intentionality. And then conjugal, I don't want to spend too much time here, or this is going to take quite some time. Conjugal love is a love between husband and wife. This is one we talk about a lot. And that specific conjugal love is what been talked about for ages and has been skewed over time, but we're trying to restore in a sense. And then we have parental love. And parental love describes the love from your parents, but also the love from God, God as our parent. So, but that could look a little bit different. In all of this, there is a dynamic, right? There's a relationship going on between someone and another, or you could say within yourself. You can be your own subject, your own object. So, as I was praying this morning, something came to mind. And many of you know this. From the divine principle, we understand that love requires give and receive action, right? So someone's giving, someone's receiving. What does that sound like? Sounds like a transaction, right? Sounds like you go to the store and then you want a bottle of water. You give them $5, and then what happens? They give you a water bottle. In that scenario, you're both giving and you're both receiving. Is that correct? Would you agree that in every love interaction, there is some kind of giving and receiving on both sides? Who would agree with that? Exactly. There's some kind of giving and receiving. Something there. So, In the ideal sense, when we talk about true love, we're trying to describe love that is given without expectations, right? Love that is given without expectations. And in the ideal sense, maybe the receiver also wants to receive love without expectations. Can you understand that? So it's a little bit harder to understand. But let me just give you an example. So if, let's just say you have a husband and a wife, or an older brother and a younger brother. Let's see that. Older brother, younger brother. The older brother sees that the younger brother is not so happy. The older brother knows that the younger brother loves hugs. So the older brother goes to the younger brother and hugs the younger brother. In that moment, you would say that the older brother is giving love through affection to the younger brother. Is that correct? And you might say the younger brother is receiving love from the older brother, right? But what do you think the older brother is gaining from this? There's a gain. There's something the older brother is receiving as well, right? So, in a way, you could say that I want to hug this person because da da da. And in the very nature of I want almost has expectation tied to it. Because if you hugged him and he never stopped crying, he doesn't love it, would you do it? Would you do it? No. If you continue to, let's say you want to feed your son, whatever, and then you give him food and he never eats it, ever. It's a little hard to continue doing that, right? My point is there is some expectation. There is still some expectation in given. Even though you're doing it for the sake of them, there is still some kind of expectation. And I think that's very important to note. Is that even in give and receive, there is something being exchanged between the two. And in Divine Principle POC, it talks a lot about this at length. So there's a responsibility of the giver, and then there's a responsibility of the receiver. If we talk about a perfect love exchange, you can say. And in that, what I've come to was that that transaction has to be mutually prosperous. What do I mean by that? It means that both sides need to have something to gain within that, I call it transaction. Well, any better word for that? Exchange? Interaction, exchange, right? So there has to be something there. And I'm getting to something here. Specifically around, do you think that love can be cruel? Yeah? In what way? In what way can love in what way can love be cruel? When it's not reciprocated. Hey, great job. Let's give her a hand. And in what other ways can loving be painful? Right, it can be. So love can be a little bit cruel, as she said, when it's not reciprocated. For example, I remember when I must have been 4 years old. 4 years old, my dad took me to nursery school. It's the first time, I spent most of my time with my dad or my mom, and then it's kind of the first time I'm away from their arms, right? Just going off doing my own thing. So he took me to nursery school. I get in there. In Africa, we have nursery 1, 2, 3, then kindergarten. So I go to nursery 2, and he leaves me with the teacher and a bunch of students. And the first thing they asked me to do is, so every kid is asked to take off their uniform, and you're in your singlet. We call it singlet. That's wife beaters, right? Just so you don't soil your clothes, you don't get it dirty. So okay, I'm in my singlets and my pants, And the whole time I can still remember it today. I'm very nervous. Like, oh my God, I don't know these people. So I decide to do what every kid would do. I ran away. So I ran out of class and I couldn't get out of the gate because it's locked. And what I understand now to be the third grade class. So I ran out, went to third grade class, and then I just hid under somebody's table. And mind you, all the students are in their class. And then some random kid just ran in there on the table. And the teacher sees me, and the teacher gives me a toy that had been confiscated from one of the students who was playing with it. He gave me a little toy. And then not too long after, maybe about 30 seconds later, my nursery teacher comes and runs and grabs me, and then it goes back to nursery school. And I was crying the whole time. Just crying. I remember that day so vividly. One might say, or I may have been thinking, I don't know, it's a little cruel. Just being left alone because it was, I would say, a painful experience. But the reality is that was the first day that I started to be able to spend time away from my parents. And do you think that's important? It's important, right? And then since then, going to school, I never cried again. But that experience needs to happen. And this happens all throughout our lives. And it's an example of the love of our parents. Some may say the love of true parents and the love of God. Sometimes love is meant to help you to grow, right? And growth is never easy. Growth can come with pain. Growth can come with struggling. In fact, it's almost implicit that you need to struggle to grow. If you wanted to be the best tennis player of all time and you just sat on your couch every day, is that possible? No. But what happens if you wanted to be, let's say you want to get a good grade in your test, and every time you don't study, you keep beating yourself up for it. It's like, oh, I'm so stupid. I'm so dumb. Oh my God, why? And then you just go into this mode of depression. And your parents see that's what happens to you whenever you don't do so well. Your parents know that you want to do well. What do you think your parents would do? Probably encourage you, right? To study. And then they might disincentivize behavior that doesn't lead to studying. For example, they might turn off the TV, turn off the Wi-Fi. Nowadays, you need the Wi-Fi to study. But they might do certain things to prevent you from it, and sometimes it seems cruel. But ultimately, it takes some time. In the moment, you may not know. But after years, you realize that was your parents' love for you, right? Now, I'd like to go into what true love is. So we understand love, but what is true love? What is at the core of love? Well, let's go to Mother of Peace. She mentions it twice that I found quite profound. The first time she says, true love is giving a pair of socks with your whole heart to your neighbor who is shivering from the cold. Sometimes it is sacrificing completely for an utter stranger whom you may never see again. True love is giving and forgetting that you gave. And that was one of the only times where she defined true love. True love is giving and forgetting that you gave. True love is an act. It's an act. And I think it's very important to distinguish a human from being completely loving and the act of loving. It's very important, or else that can lead to a lot of disappointment. The second thing she says, we need to understand that God is the original substance of true love and truth. So, if Mother says this, and I think it's important to know what God is like, right? If we want to understand what love is, we have to understand God. How many of you believe in unconditional love? Right, many of you. It's what we've been taught. And there is such a thing as unconditional love. But I have a question. Is God's love unconditional? I see some nods. I see some movement of hands. It's an interesting question. It's a question that maybe we don't like to tackle so much. But it's a very important question, because if we can't fundamentally understand what God's love is like, then we can't fundamentally be able to love as well. Because there are many people, especially parents, who later in the years beat themselves up for maybe how they treated their child in some way, shape, or form, right? And then it's almost like, oh, I could have done better. I could have done better. Anyone, you've done something you regret and you say, oh, I could have done better, because maybe the person is not reciprocating. But like I said, in love, there's responsibility in the giver and the receiver. That's very important. So, is God's love unconditional? Well, generally, we understand God's love to be unconditional, right? Because of the teachings of Jesus. But the word here, most important word here, is unconditional. Do we understand what unconditional means? Right? Unconditional means zero, no expectations, nothing. Let's go to the Bible. Exodus 19:5, Old Testament. This says, "Now if you will obey me and keep my covenant, you will be my own special treasure from among all the peoples on the earth, for all the earth belongs to me." So when you read this, it doesn't sound so unconditional, right? Not so much. And many of you know in the Bible, God said, God, I'm a selfish God. So why is selfishness wrong? Is it inherently wrong? Is it? Is selfishness inherently wrong? I wouldn't say so. So here, you wouldn't necessarily say that's God's unconditional love. So there are many theologians who have tried to define the love of God. And one such person is R.C. Sproul. He says there are three kinds of love. He says God's love of benevolence. So that's God has a goodwill towards everyone. God has a goodwill towards everyone, which is nothing but the best for everyone. And he describes the second part as the beneficent love of God. So people who are saved or sinners, God gives benefits to believers and non-believers. Lets the rain pour on you. You get air to breathe. You get to live your life. He describes it as the second one. And then he describes a third one as a love of complacency. And he describes that as the filial love that God has for the redeemed. First to Christ, and then to all that are in Christ, right? In Christianity. That's how he defines the three kinds of love. But it's very important to understand that this is based off of his supposition and mentioning that we need to really take a look at the definition of unconditional love. Because even in this day, we tend to beat ourselves up because we couldn't love unconditionally. We couldn't just give and give and give and give, forget that we're giving and, we couldn't. We tend to beat ourselves up a little bit. So we need to understand a little bit more what's more fundamental to love. And what I came to in prayer, mind you, all of this is a conversation that I'm having with God, just praying, trying to understand a little bit more. What became clear is God has principles that guide the universe. And mankind has responsibility. If mankind chooses to go and live on the ocean, what happens? In the ocean. You can't live there, right? It's not within the realm that was defined by God for you. It's not within the principle of living, of survival for man, at least just yet. It's the same if we try to go out and live in space without the right equipment, what happens? you'll die. So there is such a thing as the realm of God's love. The realm of God's love. And this realm is guided by the principles that God has set for us in our life. And so naturally, when you want to achieve something, if you want to get a good grade in a test, if you study hard, what happens? You get rewarded. It's the same for anything and everything in life. God's love can be felt within the realm that God has created us in, which is the realm of principle. And so that's very important to know. It's very important to know. Because like I said, unconditional love means giving without any expectation. And it's very hard to do that when you think of that fundamentally. When you give your child dinner, do you have expectation? Probably, right? You want them to eat the dinner. If they don't eat the dinner, it just depends on how you react. But there is some kind of expectation there. So, after going through all of this, one story that I feel really encapsulates God's love is the story of the prodigal son. Once again, the realm of God's love. As many of you know, it's a story of a son who decides that one day he wanted his share of his inheritance from his dad. And he goes out, he participates in all sorts of indulgences, he loses his money. He wastes it all away. And then what happens? He starts to wish he could feed on the food of the pigs, right? And then he realized, even my father's servants eat food better than the pigs. So he decided that he's going to go back to his dad and ask for forgiveness to even serve as a servant. And what happens when he goes back to his dad? The dad sees him at the gate, runs up to him, and embraces him. What's important to know from this story is God's love is abundant. But when the son was out there doing whatever he wanted, the dad couldn't go there and just stop him, prevent him from meeting the fate of what his lifestyle will lead him to. You could say and define it as it's not within the realm of God. And we can always choose to go to God or stay outside that realm. It's very important. But even your parents have limitations. If you go to college, you can do whatever you want. You can hurt yourself, and they will be sad that you're hurting yourself. But it's very important to note that the reason why that happens is because it's almost outside of the realm in which your parents can influence, your parents can direct. And so in the story of the prodigal son, it's very important to just remember that God's love, just like the Father, is one that always forgives. It's one that's always there for you. It's one that's ever present, ever kind, and I'll get to the virtues in just a second. So, Mother describes this once again as true love is giving a pair of socks with your whole heart to your neighbor who is shivering from the cold. Sometimes it is sacrificing completely for an utter stranger whom you may never see again. True love is giving and forgetting that you gave. So rather than defining what love is and whether we can be that embodiment of the love, we may be able to do a better job at describing what that feels like to us, what that feels like to others. But fundamentally, it is a love that gives, forget that it gives, and gives again. And Jesus said this in the Bible. And that's why I'd like to conclude on these 5 points. the virtues of love. Love has empathy. It's a love that tries to understand who you are, where you came from, tries to, through that understanding, be able to see the brighter side of you. That's empathy. True love is kind. It's a love that gives. It's generous. It gives. True love forgives. It's a love that no matter what you do, will still find a place to forgive you, that doesn't hold resentment, that doesn't hold grudges. True love is patient. It's patient, ever waiting for you to come back. And true love is loyal. True love is loyal. It doesn't just change, it doesn't just go away, but is there and is ever present. So, when I boiled it down to these 5 points, I just reevaluated my own relationship with my father. And going through it all, my dad has empathy for me, and he shows it in many different ways. He's very kind. He always buys me stuff every time. My mom goes to Ghana. She always brings stuff from him for me. Does he forgive me? Absolutely. He never mentions any of my discretions to me from the past. Is he patient with me? Sometimes. But he's still patient with me. Is he loyal to me? Absolutely. No matter what, he's still going to be my dad today and forever. So, love is something that's complicated. It's something that's hard to define. But my goal sharing this sermon today was for us to think again on what love is. Because this is the very thing that has hurt many of us in many different ways, even till today. So let us just think again on what love is. And if it helps, these are 5 virtues that I believe are core to feeling truly loved. Thank you.
Let's give another hand for our pastor Resfred for that incredible sermon on understanding true love. While he goes off stage, you can keep the applause going. And we do have a discussion question for this incredible sermon that we just listened to, and how it stimulates our mind in discussion on how we can understand true love from what we just heard and everything that we've experienced in our life that culminates us to be people of true love. So if we can just put up the question, what does true love look like / feel like to you? We can take some time to discuss with our people near us, or whatever you want to go across the room to meet someone new, whatever it may be. Take some minutes. Thank you. We can take 1 more minute for discussions. 1 more minute for discussions. I see a lot of true love back there where the brothers are wrestling right now. I think that's a lot of true love right there. Thirty more seconds. 30 more seconds. And we can have a mic ready for anyone who wants to share anything that they said or their partner said that really stood out to them during this discussion time. So, if there's anyone that wants to share anything that really stood out to them during the discussion, whether it's something that they found in themselves or something that their partner or their discussion group said that really stood out to them during this time, we would love to hear you share anything that really stood out to you and resonated with your heart from this topic of understanding true love. You can just raise your hand or just speak out loud. You want to share something, Hero? Okay. Jante, would you like to share one thing that came up to you?
Yeah, I just want to share that I'm grateful for your service. I think it made me reflect on, actually, my father is very much the opposite of your father. So I think this has been something that's been coming up just in my time in CARP or just in my relationship with God and my relationship with true parents, is trying to understand true love more deeply, and especially how motherly love and fatherly love work together. So I feel like your sermon was like a reminder of this is something that like I should be thinking about more deeply as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Jante. Thank you. Would anyone else like to share anything that stood out to them during the discussion or that came up in their thoughts during today's sermon? Anything new that they learned? Anything old that they rediscovered? You can shout it out too. I'll just parrot it. Going once, going twice. I'll share. Okay. Yeah, I really resonated a lot with our pastor Resfred and his fatherly love that he experienced, and also one thing that really stood out to me during my whole lifetime was how my mom would always say, you know, I know it's difficult to see, but your father really loves you, and she would say that every time my dad yelled at me, which was basically every breakfast, lunch, or dinner time. But it was really encouraging because it made me think that okay, people say tough love, right? But at the end of that, it's not just being tough on someone, but it's really tough love that we can learn to digest so that we can make any kind of love that we receive or any love that anyone receives more palpable to them too. So I really think that's an incredible message that our pastor gave this it went from morning to noontime, so throughout the day today. So yeah, I was really grateful for that, and grateful for Jante for you sharing, and for everyone else discussing and having this really heartfelt connection. I see a lot of smiles. I see a lot of determined looks to learn to love each other more. So I think today's sermon was really amazing. Thank you, Pastor Resfred. Let's give him another hand. So we will be transitioning to the next part of our service after concluding today's sermon. We'll be going into our offerings and tithes for this Sunday service, and we have two boxes here, one over here, one over there. If you have any physical donations that you want to offer, then you can put them in the boxes. Otherwise, for online donations or anything that you want to do, there's a QR code that you can scan here, or you can text a dollar amount to 702-820-5511. Again, that is 702-820-5511. And we can take some time to really offer our donations with gratitude, and can have a few minutes with the music playing to have a reflective atmosphere as well. Once again, if you look up at the screen, there's a QR code that you can scan. Otherwise, you can text a dollar amount to 702-820-5511. With that, I'd like to welcome up our Reverend Dr. Andrew Compton to give us our offering prayer.
Okay, let's pray. Heavenly Parent and our beloved true parents, we are gathered here at Sunday service. Thank you for the sermon we received about understanding love. I think in all of our hearts, we all desire to love you. And to be able to make an offering, this is one way we can express our sincere love. And our hope and our desire is to see you happy. We know that that will only happen when this entire world is restored back to your original ideal, in which all humanity can become one family that is founded on your love. So we offer our offerings today, and we believe that these offerings will help bring about that kind of a world. So thank you for this opportunity. Please bless this offering, and I'd like to report this to you in the names of Andy and Lydia Compton of the Blessed Central Family. Adieu and Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Compton. And now we'll be going to the next part of our service, changing the gears to announcements for this week. We have a few announcements, so stick with me. We would just want to welcome any newcomers and returning friends. I see a really dashing young gentleman right over here in front. So if you want to introduce yourself in the uniform.
Good morning, nice to meet you. My name is Seiji Yokoyama from Japan. I'm a second gen of a six-son couple, and I'm a Navy officer in Japan, and and a friend of Sekine Keita-kun and Kubune Yoriko-san. I was the same club member with them in Waseda. And yeah, I came here in order to visit the Chonshin and pray there. And I'm very happy today because I could join the Sunday service and meet you all. Thank you very much, and nice to meet you.
Thank you for coming all the way from Japan. For those that don't know, CARP is a witnessing group that goes out on campuses to really elevate the whole campus's understanding of love and what it means to have real connections with people. Is there anyone else that would like to share? Any newcomers that they brought, or anyone that hasn't come after a while? Oh, we have one, two. Oh my God, there's gonna be more.
Hi, everybody. I've never really used a microphone, so I'm like trying to gauge the distance. My name is Lulu, and this is my son, Yurik. We're returning friends. We came here about a year ago, and we're back again. And it's wonderful to see everybody here. I remember a couple of faces, so it's exciting. And we're here with great friends, Eriko and Balta and Lisa. And so it's great to be here. I'm really happy to be back, and I really appreciate the sermon as well. Thank you.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Wow. And just to look over the room, if there's anyone else that would like to share, any returning guests, new faces, I'll give 5 seconds, 5 second countdown. Oh, oh,
I was greeting people coming to service, and one beautiful sister just moved here from San Francisco,
oh.
and maybe she can introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mieko Hishinuma. We live together when was San Francisco. So just moved here. Nice to meet you.
Welcome to Las Vegas. Amazing. Okay. Anyone else? Going once? Going twice? Sold. Okay, we'll go into the next part of our announcements. And any newcomers or returning guests, we do have a welcome booth where you can have little goodies that we like to offer to anyone in our community that returned or is first time here. So please check those out. There's a really cool mug that you can get for anything that you can use for a mug. I use mine for pencil holder, admittedly. Okay, next. So we have Korean class by Mrs. Sung Moon Davis. She's an incredible dancer. The one thing that I learned from 2 weeks of being a part of her class was that you have to feel like you're peeing to dance Korean traditional dance. And I really felt like I was peeing most of the time. But if you have the opportunity to, please, please come. It's an incredible opportunity, and I highly encourage it. And next, oh, it's on Saturdays. There's a change in time. So it's actually Saturdays from 1:30 to 3 o'clock instead of this old 10 o'clock to 12 p.m. in the morning. It is now changed to Saturdays from 1:30 to 3. Next slide. Oh, actually, you can go back. I noticed that there was more things, but the weekly tribe talks that happens on Thursday at UNLV that starts at 6 o'clock, right? 6 o'clock. Yep, 6 o'clock at UNLV Tribe Talks. Anyone's allowed to enter there, but it's a great opportunity to meet new people that are just getting to introduce the CARP, but also old faces like Jonte and anyone who continues going every single week. And next slide. We have Korean class as well right after service that you can always attend. It's open to anybody, no matter if you're a beginner, intermediate, or expert. We have this witnessing booth at the fantastic indoor swap meet that Uncle Andy and Auntie Susanna have been investing into every single week. Incredible, incredible, incredible. So if you're new here, if you're returning here, go check it out. It's an incredible experience where I don't think anyone else in the nation is doing something like them. So let's support them well. And of course, our daily unison prayer at the Chunchimwon prayer room. And next slide. Yes, we have a music summit happening at that's hosted by Universal Peace Federation, and we have volunteers that are needed. There are people in the works. We have exciting collaborations coming for this music summit. So if anyone is interested in music or just willing to volunteer in any way to get plugged in, please contact Tarly, Tia, and yeah, it'll be a great event. Next. All right, and that looks like it's just about all. But on your announcements in the bulletin, there are some announcements of a Death Valley tour happening on March 2nd. So if you want to take pictures where Chimother was and just kind of commemorate the moment, it was my first time there. And the weather is getting a lot more beautiful, so you can enjoy the tour and enjoy the saltiness, and also maybe there's still rain there from days past, as well as a 7-day Chunchiwan workshop that is happening starting this coming Sunday. And with that, we have our community center open for this week. So if anyone would like to join, play board games, play volleyball, feel the youthful energy of the Chunchiwan house, then please come on ahead. And with that, I'd like to pass it on to the band for their closing song. You guys got it.
All right, let's stand up. Here's our song, Put a Little Love in Your Heart.
Fellow man, and do how we can put the love in your heart. You see it's getting late, but please don't hesitate. Put the love in your heart, and the world will be a better place. And the world will be a better place for you and me. Just pray and see. Another day goes by and still the children die. Feel the love in your heart. If you want the world to know, you won't let hatred grow. Feel the love in your heart. And the world will be a better place. And the world will be a better place for you and me, and me. Just wait and see. Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put the love in your heart. I hope that you decide this will be your guide. Put the love in your heart, and the world will be a better place. And the world will be a better place for you and me, and me. Just wait and see. Put a little love in your heart. 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 Last one. Put a little love in your heart. Please join me for a benediction prayer. Most beloved Heavenly Parent, true parents of heaven, earth, and humankind, thank you so much for all that you do for us, for all that you do to us. There's so much you do for us that go unnoticed, and for all of that, we thank you. We thank you. We thank you. We feel your ever-abundant grace, your ever-abundant love, your ever-abundant mercy for each and every one of us. And we know that many of us are far from being the substantive source of love that you are. But our hope is that within our lifetime, understanding this truth, understanding where you stand, understanding that you are a parent and all you've ever longed for is all this love that you have wanted pouring from the very beginning of time. I hope and I pray that each and every one of us can grow our heart, can develop our minds to be able to embrace as you have embraced, to be able to love as you have loved, and to forgive all those who trespass, each and every one of us. As we conclude our service today, I pray that here, as we seek to build the kingdom of Chonoguk, the kingdom here on this earth, we can all be reminded that that kingdom begins with each and every one of us. And as we fellowship and as we conclude the day, we can become beacons of hope and beacons of love for each other.
I pray and offer this in the name of Resfred and Hannah Arthur, blessed central couple. Adieu.
Jew. And with that, that concludes our Sunday service. The band will play us out in outro. But if you want to wave to the YouTube audience while you're getting your lunch in the back, then please do so. I'm sure they'll all appreciate you just waving at that camera in the red right over there that Taka is holding. Yeah, go ahead, wave at that camera right behind you guys. And yeah, we'll have a great service and a great week this week. You guys got it, Haven Street.
You're the fellow man, and my helping hand, for the love in your heart. You see it's getting late, please don't hesitate, feel the love in your heart. And the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. As the day goes by, until the children cry, with the love in your heart. You want the world to know we won't let hatred grow, with the love in your heart. Yes, the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. If you look around and if you're looking down, feel the love in your heart. I hope that you decide how this will be your guide. Feel the love in your heart. And the world will be a better place. Yes, the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Put a little love in your heart. 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 Put a little love in your heart.